Hello, a warm good morning to one and all. Yesterday, we saw in the textbook Sherlock Holmes observing a hat and sharing his opinions with Dr. Watson. Holmes tells Watson how he got the hat. Now, let's continue with the rest of the story. Textbook, page 6, second part. The goose we kept until this morning when it seemed to be going bad. Peterson will have it cooked today. I thought that I would keep the hat with me. Children, did you understand? Okay, I will explain. It was on Christmas morning, very early at 4 o'clock. Peterson was going home after his duty. He was the commissioner. Then he saw one tall man was walking in front of him with a goose. Why? Because it was Christmas and that man wanted to cook the goose for breakfast. Suddenly, some robbers attacked that man and Peterson rushed towards them to help the man. But what happened? Seeing Peterson in uniform, the tall man as well as the robbers got frightened and all of them ran away. That is how Peterson got that goose and the hat. Then what happened? Yes, for Peterson it was impossible to find out or identify the owner. So he brought the hat and the goose to Sherlock Holmes. Now you know, in those days, there was no fridge or refrigerator to preserve meat for many days. So naturally, the goose will get rotten. Therefore, we can guess that Sherlock Holmes might have asked Peterson to take the goose and cook and eat. But the hat Holmes kept for finding out the owner. And the next day, when Watson visited Holmes, he is telling all these things to Watson. Now Watson is asking, did you advertise in the papers so that the owner can claim the hat? No. Then how will you know who the owner is? We know what we can deduce from this hat. But you are joking. I don't see what you can deduce from this battered hat. Here is my lens. You know my methods. What can you gather about the man who owns this hat? I took the tattered object in my hands and turned it over rather ruefully. It was a very ordinary black hat of the usual round shape, hard and much the worse for wear. The lining had been of red silk but was a good deal discolored. There was no maker's name, but as Holmes had remarked, the initials HB were scrawled upon one side. It was pierced in the brim for a hat securer, but the elastic was missing. For the rest, it was cracked, exceedingly dusty, and spotted in several places, although there seemed to have been some attempt to hide the discolored patches by smearing them with ink. I can see nothing. Tell me what you have deduced from this hat. Holmes looked thoughtfully at the hat and said, the man leads a sedentary life and is quite clever. He is middle-aged and is not in good physical condition. His hair is grey and he puts lime cream in it. He was rich but is no longer so. Holmes had a few other such details about the man. I was astounded. I must be very stupid, Holmes, for I am quite unable to follow you. For example, how did you deduce that he is clever from his hat? Well, the hat is very large, so he must have some brains. How do you know he has grey hair and uses lime cream? There is some fine grey hair on the lining of the hat, therefore his hair must be grey. There is a fine whiff of lime from the hat, and so he must use lime cream. Holmes had a logical explanation for each of his deductions. Okay then children, as I promised yesterday, Now you can watch the continuation of the second movie.
Where's this goose now?
Well, Peterson had it. I felt it a just reward for his honesty.
And you couldn't trace this Mr. and Mrs. Baker?
Well, as there are some 100 or more Henry Bakers in this city of ours, it is not easy to restore lost property to any one of them.
I wonder.
What?
Oh, nothing. You know, that wretched hat business has made me forget again.
Oh, forget what?
Something I meant to give you before. It's a small present for Christmas.
My dear old friend. Why, this is so very kind of you. Would you mind? Oh, Watson. Oh, and I had so very nearly run out. Thank you.
Well, I'm afraid it's not your usual blend, that dreadful black shag, but I feel all like it.
My dear Watson, I'm at a loss.
Well, that's not like you. Oh, it's merely a token.
Yes, but I regret that the exchanging of presents at Christmas time is something about which I am notoriously lax.
My dear Holmes, it's of no matter. I wonder...
Yes?
I would greatly enjoy a fill of it.
Oh, why, of course.
Thank you. You know, there's still one thing about that hat business that puzzles me.
Oh, really? But it was merely an exercise.
Well, how do you know that this Mrs. Baker is not the man's mother?
Oh, she would be a very old lady.
Possibly, but she might still be able to eat goose.
Well, Baker is clearly middle-aged at least. If he is still living with his mother, they're either very fond of one another or he is unable to break free and she nags him. In any case, she'd never allow him to go about with his hat in that condition.
Suppose she were an invalid?
Then there would most certainly be a servant, and his mother would ensure that Henry's welfare was seen to. No, Mrs. Henry Baker is his wife.
You wait there. I can't have people just bursting in on
This
me.
is important.
Peterson!
What,
Mrs. Hudson, what is
He
this?
just came rushing up,
I've
sir.
got to see Mr. Holmes.
Come in, man, and calm down.
Hello, Peterson.
I've got to see you, Mr. Holmes. It's a goose, sir.
Eh? What of it, then? Has it returned to life and flapped off through the kitchen window?
Oh, no, sir.
Are you sure you're not busy, sir?
Positive, Mrs. Hudson, thank you. Well,
You look here, sir. You see what my wife found in its crop.
Good heavens!
by Jove, Peterson, this is treasure trove indeed. I suppose you know what you've got.
Oh, that's a jewel, sir. It cut through glass like putty, sir. It scratched Mrs. Peterson's aquamarine pendant, what she had off her Aunt Betsy when she passed on some years back, sir. Scratched that and took no mark itself. That means that's a good stone, Mr. Holmes.
It is much more than a good stone. It is the stone.
It is not. It cannot be the Countess of Morca's blue carbuncle.
It is precisely that. This is the gem for which the Times has been carrying an advertisement every day for a week.
The reward is £1,000.
Yes, and that is not a 20th of its market price.
£1,000, sir. Great Lord of mercy.
Well, I'm sure it's very lovely, sir, but that does seem a lot of money.
Ah, but Mrs. Hudson, this stone is unique. No one has ever found another quite like it.
But how did it get into Peterson's goose?
Not Peterson's goose, but Mr. Henry Baker's. Now, Peterson,
Yes, sir?
will you go round to the advertising agency and have this put in the evening papers?
Very good, sir. Which papers would you like that to appear in, sir?
Oh, in the Globe, Star, Pell Mell, St. James's Gazette, Evening News, Standard, Echo, and any others which occur to you. Now, found at the corner of Gould Street, a goose and a black felt hat. Mr. Henry Baker can have the same by applying at number 221B, Baker Street. Yes, that is clear and concise. And this will cover the cost. Thank you.
So, what about the stones?
I will keep it for the time being. Thank you. Mrs. Hudson,
Yes, sir.
will you get Billy to run out and buy me a goose?
Oh, we already have one, sir.
Ah, but this one is for Mr. Henry Baker, whose own goose is at this moment trussed and prepared for Mr. Peterson's family.
Well, if you ask it, sir, it all seems a puzzle to me.
It's a bonny thing, Watson. See how it glints and sparkles? A beautiful gem.
Yes, indeed.
And like every good stone, this one is the nucleus and focus of crime. These are the devil's pet baits. In older and larger jewels, every facet may stand for a bloody deed. In spite of its youth, Who would think that so pretty a toy as this has already been responsible for 2 murders, a suicide, a vitriol throwing, and several robberies?
Perhaps we'd best be rid of it. Are we to take it to Lady Morcar?
Well, not yet. As Mrs. Hudson so correctly observes, there is a puzzle here.
How did it get in the goose?
Precisely. I mean to find out.
Did I not read somewhere that Inspector Lestrade has already arrested someone for the theft of the blue carbuncle?
2 nights ago. The young workman who was doing some repair in Lady Morcar's dressing room.
Perhaps Baker's his accomplice.
We shall find that out when he answers my advertisement. And I shall determine his innocence by a very simple trick.
It might be those roughs who attacked him. They could be in on it. They could have been trying to get it away from him.
We cannot come to any conclusion yet, Watson. Yes, John Horner is the young man Lestrade arrested. He is awaiting trial at this very moment.
If it's all the same to you, Holmes, I think I'll go to bed. Clearly, Baker has not seen your advertisement.
Then someone will tell him of it in the morning. Come in. Ah, a visitor, Mrs. Hudson.
No, sir, a message for Dr. Watson.
Oh.
Really?
Yes, it's from the police, sir.
Oh? Some man has tried to hang himself at the local police station. I must go round at once. Thank you, Mrs. Hudson.
Guilty is as guilty does, sir. He's been in trouble before, and now this jewel robbery. Our Master Horner hasn't got much to live for.
Horner?
The Countess of Morcar's case, sir.
I seem to be dogged by it.
Never did. As God is my judge, I never did.
Take it carefully now, take it carefully. You're going to be all right. I must congratulate you, Sergeant, on your prompt rescue. He had no time to do himself any real harm.
Please, sir.